You stay there, buddy. I gotta take a little time out in my car, okay? Love you. What do you want?
Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, I am intentionally in my car today. I don't have any plans to go anywhere as of now, but I needed just some solitude, and this is kind of my office. I've mentioned this before. I live in a very small, old, decrepit cabin, for the most part, with way too many animals in it. And you would think being out in these beautiful mountains and countryside and by myself, that it would be so peaceful and relaxing. It really is not when you want a moment just to yourself, because there are, like I said, 2 dogs, 5 cats in the house, turkeys that sit on my porch looking at me all day long. So this is kind of my little island away from all of it. And I just needed that this morning. I've said this before, I connect dots. I look at things, I stand back, I observe. I have this ability to hear something that may not be that significant and think to myself, where is this going? And I feel like we've kind of had a lull in information coming in. And those are the times where, for myself, I get the most, I don't want to say concerned or panicky, because I'm just not going to let myself go there with all of this, because there's really at this point nothing we can do. But I did watch a video the other night, a couple nights ago. And it talked about, it was one of those AI generated videos. And I hate when they trap you, because I'm not a fan of them, to be honest with you. There's misspellings, they mispronounce the words. They try to find a voice that makes it sound like the most convincing that it's a narrator, reading the script, and it's not. But this one caught my attention because, first of all, it had over 500,000 views on it, and it was only like 2 days old. And when I went back to get the facts that I'm going to give you, it had close to 900,000. So it clicked with a lot of people. But it was basically talking about the patterns that the 3 superpowers over time have stepped through to their collapse. And it was 7 steps. And they went through the countries, which were Soviet Union, or Spain, Britain, and the Soviet Union. And they showed the scenarios of how each of those countries eventually met the same demise, which was a complete collapse after being a superpower. And the first step, and the point to it is that the US is in number 5. I would heavily disagree and say that we are in number 6. But I'm going to read them to you guys, and you tell me what you think, and I have some other thoughts after that. But the first one was military overextension. So it talked about the number of bases that we have, the commitments to defend NATO, Europe, Middle East, Ukraine, and that our military budget is $850 billion annually. So that was one. Number 2 was currency debasement. So taking us off the gold standard. Our dollar supply has increased 400% since 2000. We have printed 6 trillion since 2020. And since 1971, which I believe is when we were taken off the gold standard, our purchasing power has dropped 98%. So number 2 was currency debasement. Number 3 was debt spiral. This fact was actually way off, and so I'm not sure where they came up with this, because they said we were 36 trillion in debt, and that's been passed for quite a while. And in fact, I just heard that we're now approaching 39 trillion. And The pace we were on was $1 trillion every 100 days. We surpassed $1 trillion in 60 days. We are borrowing to pay interest on previous borrowing. Like, we're not even paying towards our debt. All the Doge, all that stuff. No, we are borrowing to pay. That would be like borrowing from your neighbor to pay for your interest payment on your credit card. Actually, it would be borrowing from another neighbor to pay the neighbor that you borrowed from to pay the interest. So 3 was debt spiral, which we're clearly on. 4 was loss of productivity. So we don't make anything here anymore. We export all of our manufacturing to China, Vietnam, Mexico. And so we don't make anything. We're not creating economy. Number 5 was social decay. So this one should be really easy for all of us. There's, no trust in the government. We have rising crime. We have homelessness. Drugs are killing over 100,000 people per year, and total political dysfunction. I mean, this guy isn't kidding when he talks about 2028.
He's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28.
The 6th one was loss of currency. So this talks about when you start to see your allies investing into different dollar systems. So, a big one would be BRICS, Brazil, India. They have pretty high, they're pretty profitable countries. And they are, although we're trying to hold on to the legs of them, and I don't know how we're supposed to do that when we turn around and tell them we're going to slap them with this tariff and that tariff. But, these countries are important to us, and we are losing our trade and our economy with them. And the 7th step was collapse. And it talks about it's not going to be this slow, gradual, right? I think 1 through 6 is the slow, gradual boiling frog, right? Like, where things kind of happen over time, you may not notice. But when 7 comes, it said it's just a sudden implosion. The Soviet lost their superpower within 900 days. Britain was 20 years. Spain took longer, but all 3 of those countries went through the same demise and ended up collapsing. So I had been kind of processing that and thinking, my goodness, and again, AI thing, take it with a grain of salt, like I always say. But I had been processing that information and again thinking, God, they say we're at 5. I'd argue we're in 6 right now, with the development of BRICS going on. And how quickly, when you look at the Soviet Union, 900 days, that's less than 3 years. I worry for us as a nation, because this is where I started connecting dots. We have a president who is a real estate developer, and he makes business transactions all the time. Take a look at this video and tell me what you think after you see this. I have my thoughts on it, but take a look.
Fool us once, shame on you. Fool us for year and year and years online. That's part of the problem, actually. Part of the problem are the people who just continue to make up reasons why it's okay for, say, Trump to have a third term or anybody to have a third term. The reason that we have this incredible Constitution was to put a check on these powers, especially on maniacal powers. You're going to end up seeing Zionists take parts of America. You're going to see that. You're going to see Indians take part of America. You're going to see China take part of America. It's clearly happening. I'm not saying you're going to see it. It is happening. It's physically happening. I took Misako to San Francisco several years ago, and I said, this is where China will make their capital city in North America if things proceed the way that they are. And then later, long after that, you saw Xi fly to California, went to San Francisco, and after they cleaned up all the bums and the shit off the sidewalks, cleaned that stuff up, and he didn't even bother to go to Washington, D.C. I mean, that's a huge signal. Trump meeting Putin in Alaska, that's about, these are real estate deals. These are clear real estate deals. And these are the kings dealing, these governments that we have that have been captured. These are in the way. They're being deconstructed. The idea, that there's going to be mass deportations, I'm not seeing that at all. I'm not seeing it.
So it makes you wonder, is the United States being pimped out? I mean, in a sense, it sounds like it's starting to get really pimped out, because if he's right about the Alaska summit, and there was a rumor going around that Putin have this plan to build they want Elon Musk to build a tunnel system or a rail system or something between the very east side of Russia into Alaska. Was that a offering of Alaska to, I don't know, money? I mean, if we are in step 6 right now, and you think about, you have a president who's a real estate developer, whether you like him or not, I do believe, he would do anything he can to try to ensure at least his kids and grandkids' future. Maybe he doesn't care about ours, but are we being pimped out? You've got that whole thing with Alaska. You've got Qatar coming over here into Idaho with an Air Force. They don't have their Air Force base, but they're getting permission to use it. Well, I'm sure that's not free. You have the is it HB1? I don't remember the name of them. HB1 visas that are costing 100 times more than they did before. You have these gold cards that people could, buy for, what was it, like $5 million to have your citizenship. That kind of sounds like we're being pimped out. And I don't want to hear, well, so-and-so president did this and this. And they probably all in some way have done this, because this collapse has been happening for a long time. So this isn't blaming Trump specifically. In fact, when it comes to the economy, you cannot blame one president. I do believe he's in there right now saying, well, you know what? We're on the downslide, so I'm going to fill my pockets and I'm going to do whatever I can. Who cares? Who cares? And how many people have done that when you are so far in debt that you're never going to get out of it? It doesn't matter. You're going to max out those credit cards. You're just going to live it up until you can't anymore. And so I really hope that's not the case. But $1 trillion in 60 days sort of sounds like that might be happening. And it also makes you think about this, government shutdown. And it really looks on the surface like it's a battle between the Democrats and the Republicans. But is it that? I mean, is it that we are tapped out? We don't have the funds anymore. And, our president's over in Asia right now, and he's trying to make deals with people he just basically slapped across the face. So again, I don't understand that. That makes no sense to me, besides the fact that just a little weedy ego and gets you in a lot of trouble. That's what I think is happening right now. But I just wanted to put that food for thought out there for you guys, because, I'm always looking at dots and connecting them. And yeah, I knew we were in trouble, financially. I always say this, I'm going to be dead in probably 30 years. So, I mean, is it going to get so horrible within my lifetime that, it's not worth being here in America? Probably not. But the slow boiling frog is continuing. And I have kids. You probably have kids. You may even have grandkids or great grandkids. And I don't want this kind of future for them. So I'm not trying to be a fearmonger. I'm not trying to create panic. But I'm hoping that people are able to see that there may still be some time to get your stuff in order, get your stuff lined up, your ducks in a row. You'll hear a lot of channels saying, pay off your debt, don't if you spend something, buy it as an investment into being able to sustain yourself going forward. Because as a whole, we have started to rely way too much on our government. And my values stem more from a conservative libertarian type stance. I believe in less government, but when you look at these sides that are arguing, you have the Democrats, the radical left. The younger generations are steering towards wanting socialism, communism, because they've grown up in a government that takes care of them, and they don't understand what it means to go out and do things on your own with as least amount of government as possible. And out of fear of that, you have this total, dramatic to the other side, crazy government that is going to try to push through a president for a third term if he doesn't have, one too many cheeseburgers. And they're serious about it. And they're putting, like Michael Yon said in that video, the DHS is out there, the ICE is out there, the Homeland Security. But are we really seeing that much being deported? No, but we see the military on the streets, and it's programming us to think that that's what it's for. But is it? I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to be panicky. I really don't want to be panicky. But I want to, share with you guys where I'm connecting dots and what I see, and hopefully take it as that push to really start thinking maybe the US isn't always going to be this global superpower. And there is a rise of a new country that's going to come up. And I think we all know who's in the lead of that. And, don't sit back and be a victim. Be more libertarian in spirit. Like, take the initiative to set yourself up and your family up to where you can thrive as best as possible no matter what happens. So that is all I've got for today. And I hope I, again, didn't overwhelm you or scare you, because that wasn't the point. Anyway, I hope everybody's well. Take care.